Hey, greetings and salutations, my excellent friends. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Dean wrote to me and had a very good question, so I thought I'd make a personalized video response to him. Now, Dean asked, whatever happened to the whole DPRK tension thing? It seems to have disappeared from mainstream media, and Dean is absolutely correct in that. Unfortunately, what happens with quote-unquote mainstream media and media sources outside of Korea is that whenever there is a situation here on the peninsula, whether it be a nuclear arms test or you have some rhetoric being issued by the official news organizations of North Korea, Western media picks it up and assumes that North Korea is going to attack. They believe every word that North Korea says without taking into consideration the context or the actual situation of the status here on the peninsula. So way back in March, actually back in February after the nuclear test and all the way up through really April or so, North Korea was issuing several statements, basically saying that they're going to go to war. Now, what happened was Western media picked that up, blew things out of proportion, without really taking a look at whether or not North Korea could actually do that and what the repercussions would be if North Korea did that. So that's why those of us here in South Korea were looking at the situation very differently. We looked at it as, well, realistically, it's not going to happen. We're still going to put our guard up just in case they do something really idiotic. But the fact of the matter is, nothing is going to happen. So April rolled around and nothing did happen. And as with all news organizations in the West, once something just comes to pass, it pretty much falls off the radar. So since North Korea hasn't done anything to be provocative to the world, the news organizations have dropped it. Now, in recent weeks, there has been a lot of discussion between North and South Korea about reopening the Kaesong Industrial Complex. Now, I'm going to be speaking about this on this weekend's podcast in a little bit more detail, but essentially, there was great hope that the two sides would sit down and be able to hammer out a difference. That's not going to happen. Pretty much, there's a huge impasse. North Korea wants the industrial complex to open without any restrictions. South Korea wants certain safeguards put in place to prevent a stoppage that we have now. North Korea has also said that if there isn't an agreement, that they will militarize that complex and put troops there. Now, if that does happen, expect to see a lot more information in mainstream media around the world about North Korea doing that and that escalating tensions once more on the peninsula. Now, that wouldn't be too far from the truth because essentially militarizing a base only a few kilometers from the DMZ would be a pretty serious thing and cause for some concern. Whether or not that would be a feasible base of operation, well, those are for the military analysts. I personally don't think that they would still do anything provocative in terms of crossing the border because that would open up a whole series of events that would essentially eliminate North Korea. Great question. If you have a question for me, please send it to me. You can do so at questions@qiranger.com or leave it down below. Until next time, remember to be true to yourself and always be awesome.